it's just a continuation of how best to deal with what we're having to face at the moment in our world, with all the problems that a lot of us are very concerned about the way the world is going, a way that we don't want it to go. We're trying to stay hopeful. We are not lone voices. We are worried about the possible control of forces that are above us, that are going to create a world that most of us don't want, a world where we're much more controlled than we ever thought we would be in our lives. So we are not despairing, but we are very concerned. I mean, life goes on. We do our best, and we mix with like-minded people, and we alienate ourselves from certain people by looking at the alternative viewpoint and what we are being shown and told.
Well, I don't see it as alienation and such. I think what you're doing is severing the ties of vibrations that do not work.
Yes.
Because you're all vibration meeting vibration.
Yes.
Some of you coming to contact with people, you call it friendship, you call it acquaintance, you may call it all kinds of manner of things, but you know, it is the attraction of vibration of one to another that brings together a person. You have an attraction to one another, and in having this attraction you come together, but the brain sometimes wants to hold on longer than the soul. So sometimes it's ready to say goodbye to people, to part your way, but the brain holds on. Don't want to let a person go, don't want to lose a situation or a friendship. And sometimes it's not even about losing it, but just parting to go and do what you must do. Sometimes a vibration is pulling you apart. The magnetism of life is pulling two friends apart. And yet the brain holds on. You understand? That's the problem with the brain. The brain will always be a real problem, because until it is tamed, until it is brought under control, and until people learn to allow the brain and the mind to work together, or you might call it the brain and the spirit to work together in unison rather than as two separate things, then that will always be a problem. But in truth, I can only tell you that there is no severing of friendships, no severing of ties, just a vibrational change that no longer resonates with one another. The only thing that holds on or causes problems, that creates regret or despair or sadness or the sense of loss, is the brain's interpretation of the process. But the soul, the spirit or the mind, the magnetism, the energy and the vibration simply changed and moved apart. Nothing more. So I understand why you would say we alienate ourselves from people, and I understand the terminology, but you are not truly alienating yourself from anybody. You are severing ties with those whose vibration is not the same. You are just allowing it to happen, but the brain, being what it is, sees it as a loss or a problem, an alienation, a dismissal, a disregard. You understand? When in truth it is none of those. It's just the moving aside of two energies. Happens daily, frequently, and has happened many hundreds of times in your life with people you've been acquainted with. And it shall continue to happen in the future. And even in our world, there will be people you'll be acquainted with for a while, but you will feel the energy waning because you have learned from each other a lesson, a skill, a thought, a way of thinking, an idea. You've shared something, and now the experience must move on to new vibrations for you both. It is not one way. You are not alienating yourself. You are merely allowing your energy to move in its natural way, in its natural order, and you are allowing them to do the same. I hope that at least puts some positivity on that word.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yes.
But it is true that throughout life that does happen constantly, obviously, with the ebb and flow of life and people you meet and ships that pass in the night and all this. But at the moment, we are going through what most of us seem to see as a particularly dramatic moment in history. I mean, things change over the ages, of course, but I think we're living in a particular time that's taken a cosmic leap. Obviously, it's probably been brought on mainly by the digital age and the advent of the technology we have had over the last 50 years. It's completely changed the face of humanity. And so it is a quantum leap that we're going through now.
Yes.
And a lot of us are sad about what we appear to be losing.
Yes.
But are we really losing it?
Certainly taking a vibrational step forward.
Yes. So this is, I'd like to think that this is a very positive thing, but
Oh,
there
yes.
are a lot of negative aspects to it at the moment.
Well, indeed, of course, with all parts of life, the negative comes with the positive. And of course, it is inevitable that some things in life will be perceived to be largely negative. You know, I understand that we are fully aware of your world situation. You know, we are not ignorant. Most people in our world do not discuss it with your world too often.
Yeah.
One, because many of the mediums do not hold the vocabulary of understanding to allow us to express it clearly. Some of them have said it, but not said it in so many words. It helps if the vocabulary exists within the medium to borrow and use upon. You understand? And your time right now is concerning. Indeed, I understand. And ultimately, the positive side to life is that when you come across here to our side, it is merely an expression of the life you already live. So that's something to be positive about. Life, in some respects, will unfold in the manner in which it must. It's already written in some form. But of course, there are choices which can affect it. So there are various outcomes. I believe you know somebody who believes in various expressions of many different forms of life. You know a gentleman, according to the little boy, who talks about there being many various varieties of an outcome. There is not just one. There is
the
many
idea.
outcomes.
Yes,
Of possible.
Like multiple dimensions.
Well, not quite. There
existed alongside each other.
Well, actually, yes, but I'm talking about the dimension that you call reality yourself. There are many outcomes that are possible, and they all exist at once.
Yes.
So you could have an outcome. I know what you all fear. You fear that you're going to become enslaved in bondage of some kind.
Yes. I mean, seriously. I mean, it's.
Well, that is a possible outcome.
Right.
But then there is the opposite outcome where you are all free and alive, vibrant, fulfilled and fulfilling, helping one another, the dream world that everybody wants. And that exists right now as a possible outcome. And all in between. You could say in many ways there are thousands of possible outcomes of all various types.
Yes.
And they all exist right now.
Yes.
They are already written. They exist right now. They are there. It is just the choices that are taken in between that will decide which of those becomes the outcome. You know, when people say, is there such a thing as destiny? To talk about destiny, it's already written. Well, it is already written. But thousands of outcomes have been written already. There's a multitude of possible outcomes already written. They're already right there. And which one will happen depends on which direction, decisions and choices you make. So when I always encourage people to be positive and to be free-minded, free-thinking, to not be moulded by other people's views if they do not sit right with you, to live freely, you create an outcome in your life which is shown to be very real as you live your individual lives. And if everybody did this, everybody without question, without fail, it would bring about a collective outcome, one of many different ones that are already written, but it will bring it about and make it manifest. But which one will happen depends on the people. But the masses are nothing more than individuality, first and foremost. So it is individual responsibility first, which makes the greater. Like strokes, paint upon a brush, or a rain up in the ocean. It is individual drops that become the ocean. It is small strokes that become part of the greater picture. It is all these smaller aspects, for want of a word, that make the greater whole.
Yes.
Many dots, little dots, can make a great picture. Yes. You see on a flowery head, you see so much pollen, it's thick and yellow, but they're individual little bits, but they appear to be whole. Like so much in life, smaller parts make a whole look real. So ultimately we can't do nothing until people, you are reliant upon individuals seeing and living individually in the correct manner.
Waking up.
Yeah, well, that is a word people often band around today, waking up. I often don't see it as waking up, you know. I see it as coming into awareness of. I think sometimes waking up is a wonderful word, but very often your words get banded around in life. It happened when I was alive. Certain words get used and reused and reused until in the end you find that they become counterproductive in the job. In the end you start hearing other people saying, oh, they're going on about waking up. In an essence, yes, people do need to wake up. But more so, I would say they need to become into the awareness of what is.
Yeah.
To wake up suggests that somebody is asleep and unaware entirely. But to come into awareness of is what true intelligence is. Yeah. Pure intelligence is moving from the state of unawareness into the state of awareness without ever being asleep. It's the acceptance of going from right to left, of in two places, a journey, a movement of the mind, a change of the vibration, a change of your entire vibration. And when that happens, when you come into awareness of something that you were not aware of before, you feel it inside you.
You're in control.
But it's getting the message across, Monty.
Yes.
A lot of us
Very
feel.
hard.
I mean, there are the situation we're in this world at the moment, which I'm sure you're aware of, is there's many of us who are looking at the state line, the way that the populace under government control is actually we're being forced into a situation where people are living in fear, and they are gradually being forced into situations of doing things that they never would have dreamed they would have done 6 months ago.
I know.
And very intelligent people are falling for it, and it doesn't mean that we're arrogant enough to think that we are definitely more intelligent than them. It's just that so many people seem to just be swallowing what they're being told by the people in charge. So in that sense, we feel that they're not awake.
That's right.
And
that's a problem, isn't it?
and so you know, this whole situation where this COVID virus thing is being used as a weapon. I don't think, you know, they call it conspiracy theory if you think like this, whereas a lot of us really truly are convinced that there is something much more sinister going on. This people being forced to wear masks. I mean, we never would have dreamed of that 6 months ago. And it's gradually getting worse. You know, wearing masks in shops now. What's the next step? We have to wear them in the street, and then it will be the compulsory vaccinations, and you won't be able to travel unless you've had the vaccinations. And yet a lot of us are convinced that the virus exists, but it's nowhere near as serious as they're trying to tell us.
Yes.
It's an illness that is no
Exactly.
worse than anything else there's ever been, really.
Mhm.
And it's being used as a weapon against the world.
Yeah.
It sounds like a story,
Yes.
but this is the reality that we're living in worldwide now.
Yes.
And there's a lot of us, when we use the expression waking up, we mean, we're waking up because a lot of us are looking at the
Yeah.
alternative viewpoint. And why should our viewpoint be any less believed than the so-called science of the governments of the world?
Yes.
And this is what we're fighting. Our media, that is our television, our newspapers and everything,
Yes.
they are all following the state line and telling us that we have to follow the science, we have to do as we're told.
Yes.
Whereas there are just as many eminent scientists and doctors and philosophers who are giving the other viewpoint, and they're just as qualified as anybody working for the government, but they're all being shut down.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to be listened to.
Yeah.
So it is a war going on, really, Monty,
Yes.
now,
And
and
what
a
you're
lot
saying-
of us are very worried.
Yes, and what you're saying is that history is once more repeating itself as it has done many, many times over. It is once more, it is always the same. The people will be brought to kneel and beg for those above them to fix the problem. Once more, the people are separated to kneel in front of those in perceived power, placed there themselves, blamed upon you and said, you did it, of course, when you never. And there they are. They have everybody kneeling at their feet,
Yeah.
doing as they're told. And how many more times in history will it repeat itself? It's done it for so long. But every time it's happened again and again, but something always breaks it in the end,
That's what I really do. I count on that.
Rome didn't last.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that was.
I only use Rome as one example. Many didn't.
Of course
Many
not.
communities didn't last.
Every great empire has fallen in the end.
Yes, but the people didn't vanish, did they?
The people didn't. But I think the thing that seems so different now, Monty, is the power of the digital age.
Yes.
This is the first time in the history that we're aware of where the entire world has been connected by technology.
Yeah.
And for all of the great positive aspects of that, the hugely negative side of that is that it can also be used to bring people under control.
Well, it's been done for some time already now.
Oh, well, yeah.
I can only express to you, you wonder where some of the mediums have all gone these days.
Yes.
Where the psychics and the seers, where the philosophers and the people who have wise intuition, where's it gone? Well, they only need to control the environment in which you live in order to control your vibration itself. They can play with your vibration, the people's vibration of this planet, very easily by affecting the planet from outside. You affect the planet's magnetism, you affect the people's magnetism. For they are part of the planet, they are within it. They are within its cocoon, they are within the bubble of the magnetism of Earth. You all have your own magnetism, you call it an aura. It's the same thing that the Earth has going around it. You affect the magnetism of the Earth, you affect the magnetism of the people. They have been affecting the magnetism of the Earth for a long, long time. You wonder where your psychics, seers, they can still work, but they have to work a little harder than they did once.
Yeah.
Because you now have junk around your planet. Junk that affects the vibration of Earth, just a little. They've experimented with that for a long time. They've been affecting you all for a long time. They've already made good starts under these people with bad intentions. And very often the people with bad intentions use the technology and inventions and minds and creativity of good people. Good people invented it to do good. And the people on the other side take it away and use it to do bad. It's been the same throughout history. So when you talk about to conspire, the intention to conspire against the people, Once more it is continued on and on. But you know, I can only say this, that the outcome is largely dependent upon the masses, which is largely dependent upon the individuals.
Yeah.
Now and I feel certain within myself that the outcome you will come to will be a modest one. I believe that whilst you may not undo all of the bad that is going on, you will undo enough of it. You understand?
Yes.
Because you see, there is also the other problem in life, that people really want paradise upon earth. But there will always be greedy people. There'll always be ignorant people. There will always be people who think you're some kind of idiot or some kind of brainwashed imbecile. There will always be these people. They will never go away. They're part of your world. They're part of the great variety that your world presents.
Yeah.
There will always be lions that rip another animal apart, and there'll always be those animals that live in harmony. So what you will probably achieve, as I see it, and what I feel will happen, will be some kind of middle line that you were living before anyway. You will create some kind of middle ground, very similar to some of what you lived some time ago. And that will be achieved, in my view, by the people in power doing wrong. And when I say wrong, I mean putting their next foot forward wrongly. Because you know, that's all it requires.
Yeah.
It requires those in power, in control, to put one wrong foot forward.
Yeah.
Just enough to see one person move their thoughts and say, hang on a moment, that's wrong. Just enough for another person to say, did you see what they just did? When you work in an environment or shared space with people, it only requires one person within your environment to put one foot forward too quickly, at the wrong time, at the wrong moment. This is the problem with conspiratorial people who are practicing and projecting a conspiratorial plan. They are ultimately projecting a lie. They are ultimately taking a situation that is not natural and enforcing an unnatural situation. This is how I see it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
They are taking a situation that is out of the natural order. The natural order would be that people just got on with their lives, living and enjoying, arguing, drinking, smoking, being friends, mixing with family, falling out, getting on, making up, creating offspring.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes,
But once you then try to change this,
One foot wrong.
once you decide you want to change that natural order, you then have to take life itself is quite a wild animal to try to control, because that is what they're doing. They're taking a wild animal with its own natural order and dragging a wild bull by its horns and saying, we will make this world how we want it. And by doing that, they have to try to affect the natural order. Therefore, they are changing the natural order to create an artificial order.
That's right.
Which is not natural, which doesn't belong there.
Yeah.
And eventually they will put one foot wrong because they're controlling it, not the natural law.
Yeah.
Now, my belief, one of the outcomes, which I think is the most reasonable one, which I hope your world takes on as individuals, is that at some point in the proceedings, an unnatural order that is trying to be enforced upon you all as a world, as a planet, as a soul group, will be tried to be enforced, and it will be felt. More people will feel it. it requires one wrong move.
Mm.
Moving a chess piece on the board and then having picked it up, realise you can't put the bloody thing back down again.
Mm.
One move in the game, one wrong move.
Yeah.
That ultimately gives the opponent a moment of clarity. And that is really what you're looking for, you know.
Yeah.
Yes. it
Nothing
is.
more than one brief moment of
Yeah.
clarity.
Yeah.
It has happened before in your times.
Yeah.
It has happened before out of your times.
Yes. And yet, humanity has always won through in the end, hasn't it? It's always,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Unless you're some poor Mayan
Yes.
who vanished.
Well, that's right. There's been a
But
lot
they
of
didn't vanish very far. They just relocated for a while.
yeah.
Their life continued.
Yeah.
They just got bored of the view.
Yeah. It's just, I suppose, a lot of us are just obviously just thinking of the worst case scenario, which would be,
Yes.
the worst case scenario would be if they got their way and
Yes.
the entire world was connected by technology.
Yes.
And they're talking about the possibility of some kind of technology like a beam from space or a vaccination that will actually affect the human brain,
Yes.
because we have a very powerful man in this world that you may have heard of, Bill Gates, for instance, who a lot of people think is some kind of saint, but in actual fact it seems that he's a very sinister person because he has been filmed talking to American government people where he is saying he has technology where he can remove the part of a person's brain that makes them religious to turn them into normal people.
Yes.
Now these are the kind of terrible scenarios that would be the worst case scenario if there was actually ever any kind of technology with somebody
To
like
feed
him in
them.
charge,
Yes.
that he could actually change something in the brains of the entire planet, to say, we'll take away the thing in a person's brain that makes them have a religious belief because we want them to just listen to us. I mean, that is the kind of ultimate horror story. But what you've said before, Monty, it's a very hopeful and very sensible message that you've said. The idea that they will put a foot wrong, even in this technological age that seems so, with artificial intelligence, as they call it now, replace humanity and the soul. Not that they believe there's a soul, most of these people, I don't think, but to just turn the entire world into robots who are controlled by a great cabal of power around the world.
No, I think you're talking about, when you talk about the removal of for instance, the example of removing somebody's ability to be religious.
Yeah.
But they've been doing that in reverse and creating people who have extremist views for a long, long time.
Of course, yeah.
Mind control ultimately is what it's about. In some form or another, they've been perfecting that for a long time.
Yes, of course.
So it is one more expression of it.
But they can never alter the essential consciousness of the soul.
Oh,
can they?
no.
That always remains intact.
Yes,
and yet at the
that's
same time,
true.
I still worry about this world. I'm still very fond of this world.
Yes.
And I would hate the idea of surrendering this world, even though there is something so much better to go on to.
Yes.
I don't want to abandon this world. There's a lot of very beautiful things about this world, and we want to keep them intact.
Well, when you look at your world from afar, it is quite beautiful, is it not?
Oh yeah,
It's one of the only few planets, perhaps that you know of, expressions of reality that glows blue.
Yeah.
That at night time is illuminated in ways that it was not when I was on your world.
Yes.
It's visible at night and day.
Mm.
Yes. Most planets at night are invisible. They're dark.
Yes.
Impossible to see because they're in darkness.
Yes.
And yet your world is illuminated by your technology, your ability to bring light to many corners. And whilst you live in some fear of these possible outcomes, the removal of fear within yourself is your start of your journey. It must be removed from yourself. You're living in fear and frustration. You are merely part of the problem, you understand.
We feel we want to do something about it,
Yes.
and there's got to be enough of us like-minded
Yes.
to be able to change it,
You must lead by example always. you
so
know.
that we can seize on that mistake when it
You mustn't
happens.
listen to them.
You must lead by example.
Mm.
People will watch as you live your life your way, detached
From what they're saying.
but aware,
Mm.
always aware. I'm aware of what I'm being told to do,
Yeah.
but I'm not doing it.
Yes.
But I will quietly go about my life,
Yeah.
doing as I damn well please,
Yeah.
freely as my
Yeah.
consciousness knows, my spirit knows, my soul knows to be.
Agreed.
And when other people observe you do it, you give off a vibration
Yes,
without
yes.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They will pick it up, and they will. It is the same reason why animals across many parts of the world learned the tools they learned to use, how they learned and developed, how we as souls, through our expressions through life, have all evolved
Mm.
and changed and learnt and experienced. This is a vast moment of evolution for you all.
Mm.
It is being enforced, but once awareness comes, you have taken one of the greatest steps forward, you see, and you would never have taken such a great step if mankind is capable of harnessing this moment. And I assure you, it only requires the conspirators to take one wrong move on the board, to pick up a chess piece and go to move it and realize they cannot put it down.
Mm.
This
That's
is
it.
where so far your world has been moving little by little by little. Small moves,
Mhm.
barely noticeable, barely distinguishable, barely aware of it taking place. Over many decades you become aware. You understand?
Yes.
Yes.
It's taken decades, and now it takes weeks because they're moving fast. They're trying to work faster rather than slower. And eventually the piece will be picked up and they'll go to move it and realize, oh dear,
Yeah.
drat,
Mm. Yeah.
drat, I've picked it up.
Yeah.
They've seen what we've done.
Mm.
And in that one moment, individuals may rise and think,
Mm.
it's wrong.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Mm.
And in that moment,
Knock on.
the awareness of the masses
Yeah.
will become clear.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually that has to happen. Something eventually has to come. And when it does, the masses will be aware. They will have moved from a state of unawareness to the state of awareness. And hopefully, in that moment, you do not require the balance of the scales to tip harshly to one side. You just need them to canter slightly over.
I think we're gradually coming to that situation.
Indeed you are. But
It's very
most
reassuring.
importantly, do not forget this. It's individuals first. You and you and you. All of you, your friends as individuals.
Yeah.
It is for them to learn. It is for them. It's for you to live and live in awareness. To go out and shout it. Some may listen, some may not. But to live it, that is the true mission.
Yes.
Live it. Be it. You want to be a medium. Some spiritualists have said, I want to be a medium. Do you have the potential? I don't know, but I'm willing to sit and give off the intention, as the little boy said earlier on. When Anthony said intention, intention is the smoking gun.
Yeah.
Your intention. My intention is to live my life. My intention is to live my life freely. My awareness says I am aware that these people or others, my boss, my family, my friends, my so-called acquaintances and confidants, my awareness is that they would not like me doing this. My inner knowing is it is right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it. I'm not going to shout about it. I shall just walk forward and do it. I'm living my life my way.
Yeah.
You do it, others will see it. Others will be aware of it. Others may say to you, do you not fear this? Do you fear that? You say, no. But what about this? And what about that? No, I don't fear. I am eternal. I fear nothing. And they will say, well, what? They will maybe hold you accountable. Well,
they can try.
you can just simply say, I'm sorry, I just live my life.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's it.
And there will be another vibration that moves away. As you move apart, the severing of vibration, and you will allow your brain to say goodbye to them, and they will part. Simple. You live your life, in some respects, rather quietly, getting on with it, being disobedient. I find it rather funny, you know. It makes me smile because most people now are preaching that we should all become so disobedient. And yet many of these people have spent many years telling their children to bloody well behave. Do as you're told. Listen to me. Yes. When you do it yourself, when you live it, and I mean live it. I don't mean think about it, consider it, but live it. And live it naturally. It is not forced. I'm going to go out and get on their nerves. I'm going to go out and get up their nose. No. You just go out like you did before. Before there was a problem, you walk outside and you go for a walk. I've seen people in your world scared to go for a walk. I've seen people in your world scared to look their friends and their family in the eye. And I understand, I'm sympathetic, of course I am, and I see where they're going wrong and I see where they're going right. They are correct in regards, in as far as they are correct, that they are being kind. They believe they're doing the right thing by their family. They don't want to harm their family, and we should not mock them. We should feel very sympathetic towards them, and we should look at them and think, and indeed, they are doing the right thing. They are being kind to their people they love. If you felt truly that there was a fear, a real risk, then you would think of the people that you love, and you would do all you could to defend them, help them, and keep them safe. So that is what they're doing, so we respect them for that. We don't poke at them and jibe them. But what we do is we go about our own lives individually, freely, unquestionably, and we walk forward free with our heads held high, like all of the great people of the past have done. All of the great freedom seekers, free thinkers, intelligent, truly fascinating people in history walked confidently forward as individuals. And in doing so, the masses followed them.
As the Desiderata says.
Yes, that's quite right.
Go placidly amidst the noise and haste.
Absolutely.
And remember what power there can be in silence.
Yes. Well-written piece.
Beautiful,
Yes. As the Nazarene once said, and walked forward in his own truth, and he was still persecuted, but look at the people who followed and listened. He didn't need to speak a single word, they followed him. Look at all the great people who wanted to do good. They walked forward and they lived the truth that they were, and they just walked forward. Others followed.
Gandhi. And so many others.
Yes. So many. Your history is littered with them. Old times, ancient, modern, all in between. They were there. Always people simply going about their day in their own way. If you have to think to yourself, I'm going to go out today to get up their nose, you have instantly started off on the wrong foot.
That's right.
You go out confidently, naturally for yourself. You live your life the way you want to live it. And when other people ask you, are you fearful? Am I fearful? Am I not? No. Well, you must be scared. No,
No.
no. I'm free, I'm happy, I'm
Yeah.
getting on with my life.
Mm.
They cannot, with that, they cannot argue with you. They cannot
Nowhere
change.
to go.
They have nothing more than to say, how interesting.
Mm.
They will try to goad you, but you mustn't take the bait. of
No,
course.
they might not.
Hmm.
That will change more views than trying to show them something they don't want.
Mm.
By trying to force a view,
Mm.
by trying to take an intellectual aspect of life and enforce it as an intellectual aspect of life upon another,
Mm.
doesn't seem to work.
Mm.
Some people it does, and it is helpful, but the greatest thing is when you walk forward and others follow your lead,
Mm.
because somehow they know it's right, somehow it feels right.
Mm.
Strangely, that is how animals from all parts of the world and people through all stages of evolution did it. That's how one thing happened on one side of your world and one thing happened on the other side of your world around the same time.
Mm.
In times gone by when you didn't have magnificent technological creations floating round and transmitting knowledge and data, as you call it, how did it happen? Because the awareness of one was spread to the others.
Mm.
Very often by species,
Yeah.
Mm.
because species share the same vibrational frequencies,
Mm.
or they are very damn close at least.
Mm.
And that information goes out.
Mm.
So when you live a free life, truly free life, when you rid yourself of fear, anger, if you're angry, you're sending out anger. If you're happy, you're sending out happiness. Others will feel it. Others will feel good. Happy people in a room with other friends will make other people, on the whole, happy,
Mm.
because they vibrate happiness out and people like them
Of course. Mm.
because they feel it. And so it is so. When you go forward in your world, naturally happy, confident and free, truly free, living from your consciousness, your spirit, others have to feel it. They may not appear to get it straight away. Honestly, you will not be knocking people over in the road. You'll not see them floating with a halo all of a sudden, but a gradual vibration will go out. Once you do it and you do it, you will encourage it will happen with others, and then it will go out and out and out. The conspirators are trying to control the natural flow of life. They are trying to take the natural control of life and do something very unnatural with it. They have tried to take a very natural biological organism, you call it a virus or a bacteria, you call it an illness, you call yourself a host, you call it the invader. They are taking something natural and doing something very unnatural. They've made it unorganic. Therefore, it doesn't work in the correct manner as the natural form might have. They're doing just the same with life itself. They are taking life itself and they're trying to move it in an inorganic way. But should they let go, it can only become the organic way again. It instantly reverts back. It is almost like pulling some form of rubber band. You pull the rubber band and it stretches, but when you let go, it goes back to its former state, its natural state. And so does life.
Mm-hmm.
You pull at life. These people, these conspirators, pull at life, try to pull it and bend it, shape it, distort it. And that's what they're doing. If they were to let go, life would revert like the rubber band back to its natural order. There is a natural order which is being meddled with. And if once they let go, the natural order will return. Of its own accord, it only can. There is no other choice. And when you asked me a moment ago and commented on the thoughts of consciousness, they can never, ever touch your consciousness. Reason being that it doesn't exist inside you. They can't find it to meddle with the bloody thing. It's not inside there. Outside and about you, beyond the reality of your world. It goes beyond, it permeates through.
And that truth is very comforting. But
yes,
I would still like a nice outcome for this world that we're in at the moment.
yes,
Eventually.
Yeah.
You know, Monty,
created.
Monty, you wouldn't want the job, but I think you should be president of the world.
What a difference.
Yes.
Maybe I do want the job. You haven't given me a choice in the matter. Maybe I would like that job.
All right. Well, you've got
it.
4 votes here for a start.
Yeah.
Well, as your president, I will advise
Do
you.
it. Wipe them all out.
Yes. Wipe them all out.
Yeah, God, it's a bit
No,
English
we'll
come
abolish
on.
all that. There'll be no wiping out, even the people who are causing it.
Yeah, just give them a good spanking.
Well, they just need a big
They
shot,
will
a
have to learn
big dose
eventually,
of
won't
love.
they?
They're going to come to the same place in the end.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yes.
They're going to have to answer.
Well, they'll answer to themselves,
Yeah,
because only they will realise how foolish, how shallow,
that's right.
cold-hearted and calculated they've been.
Mm,
And they will be very aware of that.
yeah.
And they will answer for themselves. The only judge will be them. They will judge them. That will be their job. Yes. They will judge them. You will judge yourselves. So as your president, I invite you to go forward positively.
Yeah.
You must go forward positively. You must not get engaged in these anything negative. I know it's hard, but then life was never completely easy. Otherwise you would not be learning, you'd not be challenging
right.
yourselves to better yourself. Think about this. In time, if they put one foot wrong, if souls around your world as individuals realize, and then en masse they realize what has just happened before their eyes, they have just witnessed something take place, they realize, they begin to move from a state of unawareness to a state of awareness, or as you call it, asleep to awake, but it is purely a state of an awoken state, a waking state of unawareness to awareness, nothing more. What a leap forward in the world that you live within. What a grand leap forward in your evolution that would be. What a truly vast step forward that all of a sudden, en masse, you all, or so many of you, enough of you, took one huge stride forward in your evolution. For one moment, you all moved at the same time, almost, from a state of unawareness to awareness on such a mass scale. It is almost like the time when man walked upright for the first time. He probably stayed there for a second and slumped down again. Thought, that's a bit uncomfortable. And it would be no different. It would be the moment in history when souls came together as individuals and as a collective. It would be a moment when all of a sudden they stepped forward, took one giant step forward together, a real moment of visible evolution. It could be the moment of evolution that people have actually seen. And by that, what I mean is, you understand, very few people have ever seen evolution. It's not observable to most people. It's so bloody slow. In some respects, people deny it even happens. because it is so slow.
Mm.
And there is very little evidence for some aspects of evolution.
Mm.
But there is what you would call a form of evolution where change takes place between the species. They alter, they change, they learn. Learning is an element of evolution. Imagine if all of a sudden you all became aware, enough of you, of one thing, and one large step forward took place in that moment. Visible, objective, I'm losing my control a little. Observable evolution. Very few people have observed it in your times and before, but it would be visible for once, and you would all see it.
Mm.
But remember that life flows. It is what it is. And when somebody tries to distort it, when they let go, they can pull and tug all they want. But once they let go, it instantly goes back to its natural order.
Mm.
If your world of a planet, let's scale it up and make it a bit more observable. If you hit a planet, a comet, an asteroid, you can knock it and it will rattle. But gradually it might move a little on its axis, but its natural order must always come back.
Mm.
Its orbit around the great orb, the sun, the giver of life and information. It must maintain its order. And only when they let go will order be returned.
Mm.
And one day they will certainly, I believe, take a step forward in great error. Great error.
And that's just this planet within our solar system, let alone all the countless billions of others.
Life is abundant in many ways, not only within your visible universe, but life permeates through. I'm living proof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are.
My friends, I must let the medium go now.
Sure.
I know these moments I would love to stay much longer. I really must.
Yes.
I really would wish I could stay much longer, but we must respect him.
Well, Monty,
Yes.
we will.
This is the disadvantage to mediums. You have to give them back. I would rather
Yeah.
stay. You understand?
Yes.
Well, we have eternity to carry on our conversation, don't we?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But do remember what I said.
Certainly.
And please
certainly
do
will.
try to live it, because I can't.
Move forward with it.
Absolutely. It is truth.
Yeah.
And truth, I can't change it to a lie.
Mm.
I cannot only give you aspects of truth.
Yeah.
It's true or it's not.
Mm.
And that is all I can say.
Well, you awaken so much truth, Monty.
Yes.
It's always very, very impressive, because you're just all about truth, and you open the door to truth and realization.
Many years ago, when I sat in this room within the orbit of my medium, and I spoke to this room when there were many more people within it,
Yeah.
and I said matters that I felt were important about the future of your lives, about situations and possibilities that were ahead. And some people were not so keen to hear those words, filled them with nervousness, didn't find it very uplifting. I once said, but to uplift you, I'm telling you what is. What is going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm giving you the great gift to change it now,
Mm.
to be aware, to prepare your minds, your way of living, your thinking, to lift it so that you do not venture down a road, that you will be playing your part right now, well in advance, training your mind now, opening your heart, being positive and living freely now, so that you are emanating that. And here we are, just a few years on. And those people, did they do it, did they not? Who knows? That's for them to decide. Were they positive? I'm telling you once more the same message.
Yeah.
There is an opportunity in every moment that you live to be free, truly free, to live as you damn well like, to do as you please, to be as positive and to allow it to naturally go out to others. You need do not one thing other than live positively, freely, and by all accounts quite disobediently, I would say,
Some of us.
with my permission.
As Charles Dickens said, sometimes the law is an ass,
Yes,
and you must act accordingly.
absolutely. Yes, yes, indeed.
Your words are so uplifting. They really
Yeah.
are. Monty.
God,
It's-
amazing.
It's
Yes.
wonderful.
So
You must
wise.
share my words. If you
I
feel you must allow my words to go further, if you so wish. It is always your decision. I'm not here to tell anybody what they must and must not do. Anything that I say, unless I stipulate that I would like you to keep it private, and if I ever did so, it would always be for good reason, very good reason. As we have done in the past, we have instructed many times to keep matters private for good
Yes.
reason.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is for evidential purposes,
Yeah.
other times not, other purposes. But unless I stipulate, anything I say is freely given and can be freely rejected and can be freely accepted in any quantity or amount that you feel is correct and within your reason. Anything that is not, pop it to one side, let it go, doesn't matter. The world will not stop spinning because you didn't quite agree with one little aspect that I said, or it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And if it makes sense, then I'm grateful, I am happy, I'm pleased. Job is done.
All makes sense to
I
me.
can't do any more than that. Can't pick you up and drag you along the path. It's your path. You're attuned to your path. It's your path to walk. It's your life to live. It's your destiny to make. It's your vibration that matters. It's for your vibration, for you to control and inspire. It's your mind. It's your life. It's your consciousness. Ultimately, it's your responsibility and it's your destiny. That's a lot of yours. And if a little of mine helps, very pleased for you all. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
Allow me to leave it there. I think
Thank
that's a
you.
nice way to round our gathering up.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful words. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
We shall spread the word to
Yeah.
those who are willing to listen.
Yes.
Inspiring.
And for those who don't want to listen,
That's
Just
their
live.
Oh,
sales.
cheese.
live
Yeah.
your, yes, but
Yes,
live
and
your
lost.
truth, live it freely, be
That's so
free,
important.
and
Yes.
it will go out to them. They
Yes.
are not
Yeah.
lost. They may not want to hear your words. They may not want to hear your voice, your views, but you're living your truth
That's right.
will
So important.
emanate out, and the frequency that you emanate will be absorbed by them and felt. Maybe
Eventually.
not immediately to their conscious mind, but eventually.
Yeah.
There are many ways to communicate, verbally
And silently.
and silently. Vibration, if it can make entire species change their behavior in many parts of your world, then it can make many people change their behavior. Your intent is the gun. The smoking gun is your intent.
Yeah.
As the little boy said earlier tonight.
That's right.
Your intent to communicate with us, your intent to change the world, your
Yeah.
intent to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
That intention is the smoking gun. And that can be done in many ways, not just verbal. Yes. So go forward, my
Never shy
friends.
away from it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Change
Thank
your
you.
lives and you change the world. Change
Thank
the way you think
Thank you.
and change the way you look at your world. Change the way the world sees you. Friends, I
Yeah.
bid you a good night.
Thank
I
you
must
very
go
much.
now.
Thank you, Mr.
Night,
President.
The poor boy needs to be let loose.
He
Yeah.
does.
Thank you for your wise words, Monty.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you, madam. My
Absolutely
pleasure.
wonderful. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Cigars await.
And your tot.
A large scotch.
Your tot of whiskey.
I bless you. Have a good night, friends.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Yes.
Thank you so
Good
much.
night.
Enjoy each other's company, will you
We
not?
will.
Enjoy yourselves.
We
Have
will.
one for me now.
Yes.
We will.
Maybe two.
Thank you.